Being a Warlock is awesome, but if you've played one, you kind of know the pain they all feel. You've cast your Armor of Agathis, you got Hex up, you got Eldritch Blast, and then you're just kind of Eldritch Blasting the rest of the fight. Gotta rest for a whole hour if you want to do anything other than cast a cantrip. And this problem lasts until level 11 when you get a third spell slot. Most campaigns stop after level 12 or 13. But what if I told you there was a better way to handle Pact magic? And that better way already exists in an official printed D&D core rulebook nonetheless. Let's pop over to the table and talk about spell points. So if you crack open the DMG to page 288, there's this wonderful variant rule called spell points. Instead of gaining a number of spell slots to cast your spells from the spellcasting feature, you gain a pool of spell points instead. You expend a number of spell points to create a spell slot of a given level, and then use that slot to cast the spell. So there are two charts in this section. The first one is how many spell points a spell slot of any given level is going to cost, and the other one is a breakdown of how many spell points a player should get with the spellcasting feature at every given level, as well as the maximum level spell slot they can create. For the Warlock, since Pact magic works differently, we only need to focus on the spell slot to spell point conversion table. To make it work, all you need is to take the number of spell slots and the level those spell slots would normally be for a Warlock and then convert them into spell points. For example, a Warlock of 5th level is going to have 2 3rd level spell slots. A 3rd level spell slot costs 5 spell points, so their total spell point pool would be 10 spell points. The Warlock is a short rest class, and that's its design, so you're going to need to change the spell point regeneration from long rest to short rest, but other than that, it's done. Alright. I mean, that's all well and good, but why is this better than Pact magic? With a pool of spell points instead of spell slots, the Warlock has a lot more flexibility with their casting. Let's use my Hexblade Warlock Conic as an example. He's level 5, and he uses a similar setup to what I talked about at the beginning of the video. So let's say before combat, Conic casts Armor of Agathis on himself, spending 5 of his 10 spell points. Now on his first turn, if he wants to cast Hex, like we did at the beginning of the video, he only needs to spend 2 spell points, leaving 3 more that he can use later in combat. Now let's say he's a Hexblade, he's getting hit a lot, and he wants to get out of there. He can use his 3 remaining spell points to then cast Misty Step a couple of turns later to get out of a hairy situation. Or maybe instead of that, he can negate the damage altogether by using 2 of those 3 spell points to cast Shield on himself. Spell points allow Warlocks to have more flexibility with their casting while still holding to the same themes and limitations the Warlock already has. Especially, in my experience as a Hexblade, casting Shield at 3rd or 4th or even 5th level is just a waste of resources, and you'll still have the ability to upcast those Warlock staples like Armor of Agathis. This also doesn't affect the balance of Mystic Arcanum at all. They can be treated as separate from spell points and just one-use spells that you regain later. This methodology can be used with other kind of weird spellcasting classes. Looking at you, 1/3 casters. Eldritch Knights and Arcane Tricksters are going to love this. Included in the description box down below, I'm going to have a document where I break down all of the spell points and maximum spell level that can be cast for each level of Warlock. What do you think of the spell points variant rule in the DMG? Leave a comment down below. Be sure to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe so you don't miss stuff in the future. And YouTube is going to recommend a video somewhere for you to watch. I don't know why. I mean, you might be into some like weird stuff, but I mean, YouTube recommended it, not me.